Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another Saturday bash with myself and my good friend Richard. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Ian. How are you?
I'm very well. This is the last decade of singles.
It is. It's very sad indeed.
But we've just been speaking. We will be doing our #1 album, so look out for that. It's going to take us a little time to sort that one out, but there is something in the pipeline, so don't cry yet.
I'll tell you one thing, Ian. There will be no tears on my list.
No tears on my list either. Yes. So today we're going to look at the 1960s, and we've said this is the hardest one, and it has been the hardest one for me because it was chop and change, and then on Thursday I said no, but Richard will explain. His was even harder.
It was. I changed about 15, 20 minutes ago.
Just a decade. So it's the usual thing. Richard will go first. I'll go second. Bubbling unders. So it's all over to you, Richard.
Thank you. Now, I will say on the off, I'm only allowing one song per artist because there's a certain band that had 17 #1s, and I'm only allowing one of them. And that actually is the first one that comes in at my number 10. It's the Beatles, and my favourite Beatles single from 1964. Stayed there for 4 weeks, and it's I Feel Fine. Now, I really think this is a fantastic song, and it's a leap forward from Can't Buy Me Love and A Hard Day's Night, especially when you hear that guitar feedback at the very, very start. And then the picking of the guitar, I think, is really, really great. I've always said that this song, I'd love to have heard the Ramones do a version because I think it's pre-punk. I really do. I just think it's a fantastic song, and it gets my number 10. Mostly written by John Lennon, and it has an absolutely brilliant B-side. She's a Woman, mostly written by Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I've steered clear from Beatles because I could have, it would have just been too much. So I said no Beatles in this today. But yeah, it's a good song. It's probably one of the first heavy songs the Beatles did.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, my number 10, we're going to 1965, a song that was at the top for 2 weeks. It's probably the only song I like by these two, and it's Sonny and Cher, I've Got You, Babe.
All right, okay, I didn't have it.
It's the only one. I mean, I didn't like Sonny on his own. He was not very good, and Cher, I could take her or leave her, but this is a great song. Absolute brilliant song.
Yeah, that's good. Did you like the UB40 version?
Yes, I actually saw UB40 form that, but it wasn't with Chrissie Hynde, it was with Ruby Turner.
Right, okay.
And it was brilliant. And that's the day that the one that sadly died not long ago, he got lost at the NEC and he came on in the end. He had a bit of a spinal tap, couldn't find the stage. He got a huge cheer when he come on. It was quite fun. Yeah, I love that song. It's just one of them 60s songs, isn't it?
I like it, but I got fed up with the UB40 version, to be honest with you. I bought it as a single and just overplayed it. So, well, my number 9 is a #1 from 1960, and it stayed there for 7 weeks. And it's the Everly Brothers, Kathy's Clown, written by Don Everly, and I just think it is brilliant. I have turned out into be a bit of a Everly Brothers fan. Their harmonies are absolutely magnificent. But this one here, I just love the drums in it at the start, and everything about it. I think it's just a really classy song, and 7 weeks is #1. So that's my number 9.
Yeah, classic song. Classic Everly Brothers. Love. It's a great song. I haven't got no Everly Brothers in mine. I've gone really weird on you to this week. My number 9 is got one of the best bass lines in the 60s from 1966, 4 weeks at the top. And it's the one that goes dum 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 dum. Nancy Sinatra. These boots are made for walking. I love this song.
That was number 1 on the day I was born. So it was.
I know that. I thought that would bring a smile to your thing. Well, that's a spoiler for your birthday show, isn't it? But yeah, it's a great song. And what a number one to have on your birthday.
I agree. Still didn't make my list though. There's so many that didn't make my list that I'm just going, how did they not? Well, my number 8 is a number 1 from 1968, and it stayed there for 4 weeks. As the gorgeous Louis Armstrong singing "What a Wonderful World." Oh, I absolutely love it. And I think it was Good Night, or is it Good Night Vietnam, the film with Robin Williams, that really brought that to the fore whenever they played that song. And in the background, you saw all this bombing and stuff. And it was just so effective. And ever since seeing that, I just really love that song. And I've always liked it, but I just absolutely love it now. And that's my number 8.
Yeah, it's a great song. I mean, people will go for with all the time in the world. That's good, but this is better.
I absolutely love it. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a wonderful song. And again, one of them songs that it was near the, not long after that he died.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, great choice. Now, my number 8 is one that comes out of that singles box belonging to my mum and dad. From 1960, 2 weeks at the top. Running Bear, Johnny Preston.
That's not bad. I quite like that.
Very sad song, very sad tale. But the way he does it is brilliant. I'm in the start, we go like oompa, boompa, boompa, boom, on the. It's just got that sort of groove to it. It's a great song. I love it.
Well, good choice. My number 7 is from the King of Rock and Roll, Elvis Presley. 4 weeks at number 1 in 1961, and it's Marie's the name of his latest flame. Oh, I absolutely love it. And there's actually a remix of it where you see on YouTube where you see these girls shuffle dancing to it. That's even better. It really is. The remix is fantastic. But the actual riff of it, it was used for the Smiths, Russian Ruffins as well. It's been used for so many. Like Smokey's Don't Play Your Rock and Roll to Me is the same riff as Marie's the Name as his flame, but it's slowed down. I just think it's really brilliant. It's my second favorite Elvis song. The first is I Can't Stop Believing, but love it. 4 weeks number 1 and gets my number 7.
Yeah, that shuffle sound that appeared on so many records after that come out. It's just such a catchy, very catchy. And you know, the Smokey, they were very clever. They slowed it down.
But it is the same riff.
It's the same riff, but they've changed it, and you're okay about that. Okay, great choice. Okay then, and my number 7, 1966, 1 week at the top. Spencer Davis Group, Keep On Running.
Brilliant song.
Brilliant song. Again, came more to it, got a bit of a reprise when they released the film Buster with Phil Collins, because it's the opening song in the movie. But Stevie Winwood, top man, top sing, brilliant song. I love that real distorted guitar on it as well. It's a great song. I love that.
I considered it, and it still didn't even make my bubbling unders. That's what I mean.
That's how strong this 60s is, isn't it?
Well, my number 6 is brilliantly produced, and it's a song that has different sections in it. It was 2 weeks at number 1 in 1966, and it's the Beach Boys' "Good Vibrations." which is just a masterful song, an absolute masterful song. And I think it came slightly after Pet Sounds and was featured on the next album, Smile, or Smiley Smile. Sorry, Smiley Smile. It seems out of place in that album a little bit, but it's just a fantastic song. And the way it goes down and really sort of goes in a very, very quiet part and then just builds up again. It's brilliant, and I guess my number 6.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite songs from '66, and again, it didn't make my list.
Yeah, so
I love that. I mean, it's the great use of the theremin.
yeah. Now, I don't know instruments, so you can tell me what it was
theremin
played.
is that. I mean, you know, it's the bit that goes woo.
Oh, yes, yes.
But those, it's also the bit that they made Midsummer Murders theme on that.
Ah, right, okay.
It's like a little circle, and you put your hand in, and it oscillates.
All right.
It's a great little thing. Anyway, my number 6 again comes straight out of the singles collection. 1963, 2 weeks at number 1, and it's The Searchers and Sweet for My Sweet.
Yeah, I like that as well. It didn't make my list, but I do
Yeah,
like
great song, and of course it had Chris Curtis, and Chris Curtis is the man that really, really had the idea for Deep Purple.
All right, didn't know that.
Yeah, it was this thing called Roundabout, where very 60s thing where musicians got on and off for this roundabout. Richie Blackmore and John Lord were the first two on the roundabout and stuck about for years, and the rest is history. But people forget that Chris Curtis of The Searchers was the man that had the idea for Deep Purple. That's a great song.
Yeah, very good choice. Right, my number 5 is 2 weeks at number 1 in 1965. And I could have picked about 3 different singles from this band. It's the Rolling Stones, but I have to give it to I Can't Get No Satisfaction with that riff. Now, that riff is just absolutely brilliant. And the thing I like about this song as well, like the lyrics are slightly more, not I want to hold your hand type lyrics and sweetie, sweetie lyrics. You know, he's talking about the guy doesn't smoke the same cigarettes as me. You don't hear that in a song in the 60s.
No.
I think the lyrics are really, really good. I can't get no satisfaction. Well, you can take so many meanings out of that. And I just think it's just an absolute classic song of the 60s, and it's one of the Rolling Stones' best singles. So, Satisfaction, that gets my number 5.
Yeah, and the other thing that's good about that song, Bill Wyman's bass line on that is just amazing. Steady as a rock was Mr. Wyman. Great choice. My number 5 is a band that was constantly played in our house. My dad's a guitarist, so it's going to be some Shadows in there. And it's 5 weeks at number 1 in 1960, and it's Apache.
Brilliant. Love it as well.
Yeah, I mean, how can an instrumental song like that go to number 1? Wouldn't happen today, but it's a great, and the rhythm on that from Ruth Welsh is brilliant as well. It's a great song.
I have one Shadows LP, which is 20 Golden Grace, and it is really, really good. My favorite Shadows song is Kontiki, which also got to number 1 in the 60s as well, and considered it, but just didn't quite make it. Okay, number 4, and it's the second last number 1 of the decade. And it stayed there for 8 weeks in 1969, obviously, and I can't help it, but I absolutely love it. And it's the Archies' Sugar Sugar. I think it is a perfect little pop song, and I do love the cartoon video for it, which is obviously from a cartoon show, which I'm not too sure. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I assume it is.
That's the version I should be trying to put in the playlist at the end of it, so people can watch it, because it's just brilliant on that.
Yeah,
it is a great song. One hit wonder, wasn't it? As I think
so. Yeah, I actually bought an LP of theirs because for that song, and the rest of the LP is not bad. And it also works really well on the Stars on 45. Do you remember it? The Beatles.
Yeah.
Actually on it at the start, and it works really well. I just think it's a really perfect little catchy pop song. That's all it is.
Yeah, brilliant. I think that song defined pop songs in the 60s.
Yeah.
Really did. Okay, my number 4 is From 1962, 4 weeks at the top. It's the Tornadoes and Telstar.
That's another instrumental, isn't it?
Yeah, another song that was played in our house, produced by the crazy but very talented Joe Meek, of course, in a in a room where he had people singing in the bathroom. And there's a film on, I think it's Prime. It's about that. And there was a guitarist called George Bellamy. I think he was a guitarist. Yes, he played guitar. He's got a famous son, of course, a certain Matt Bellamy from Muse.
All right, okay.
Also, that Joe Meek introduced us to Richie Blackmore because he gave his first shot in the Outlaws. So Joe Meek, but Tornadoes Telstar is brilliant.
I think that was a big hit in the States as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, big hit everywhere. I mean, it sort of finished Joe Meek, really, the fame. It was sad what happened to him. So that was my number 4.
Well, my number 3 is my oldest. So going from 69, I'm going way back to 1960 and 2 weeks at the top of the charts. And I'm a huge fan of this guy. And it's Roy Orbison, Only the Lonely, written by Roy and Joe Milson. It's his voice is just fantastic, and I love the dum 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 the do was. I just everything about it, and then the high note he gets at the end is absolutely magnificent. And without a shadow of a doubt, it's my number 3.
Great track. I'm trying to put together a Roy Orbison retro ranking, and I've been trying to do this for about 5 weeks now, and I can't. It'll come, but it's going to take a long time because I'll get a 10. No, I've missed that one. There's so many great songs of Roy's to choose from. So, yeah, it's a great choice. Okay, my number 3. We're going to 1968 now, and 6 weeks at the number 1 for this person. Mary Hopkin, Those Were the Days.
Good song. Just by Paul McCartney, I believe.
Paul McCartney, yes. I've always liked the song, but I think as I'm getting older, when I listen to the lyrics now, I really get it.
No.
There's so many things that is written in them lyrics, and you go, yeah. And it's a lovely song, and Mary Hopkins a great singer.
Beautiful song. So that's a very good choice. I actually love the song Goodbye that she did as well, which was actually a Paul McCartney song written for her. But now Those Were the Days. Brilliant. Deserve to be number 1. Well, my number 2, we're going to 1967. And it's 6 weeks at number 1. And it's Procol Harum, A Whiter Shade of Pale, which I think is magnificent. I know the music is stolen from Bach. I don't care. But it's absolutely brilliant. I just love that keyboard. I love the keyboard sound of the Bach tune. I don't know what the name of it was. But yeah, 6 full weeks at number 1. And really, I don't know much about Procol Harum apart from that song and the follow-up Humber. But Whiter Shade of Pale is just brilliant. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. We will talk about that very shortly. My number 2, it's from 1968. It only was at number 1 for 1 week. But it is The Crazy World of Arthur Brown and Fire.
That's a good song as well.
And I've always got visions of that clip of Top of the Pops when he's got that on his head and it's actual fire. He couldn't do that now. Great song. I think Carl Palmer was drums something to do with that song. It's just a great song. People try to cover it, including Ozzy Osbourne, and there's only one fire, and that's Arthur Brown's. Great track.
Very good song. Well, my number 1, 1964 for 2 weeks. It's a song written by Holland Dozier Holland, and it's the Supremes, Baby Love. I absolutely love it. I love the Supremes. They have fantastic singles throughout the whole of the 60s, and their albums aren't that bad either. But Baby Love is it's one of those songs I can't play once. I have to play it over again. I absolutely love it. So I think it's my number one.
Yeah, great song. I don't think there's no one out there that will say that, oh, I don't like that. It's just classic Motown sound, isn't it? It's just brilliant. Okay, my number one, well, you've already mentioned it. It was number one in 1967 for 6 weeks, and it is the brilliant Procol Harmon's What a Shade of Pale. I just adore that song.
It is brilliant, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, when you're sitting there, well, I've got it on Spotify, and I put up the lyrics sometimes. And I was putting up the lyrics to do this, and I thought, what the hell are you talking about, Mr. Brooker? It's a song about nothing. It just make no sense. It's just words that have been jumbled up. But writing something about nothing has worked for many artists. Peter Gabriel, Jim Morrison, Gary Brooker. They're all in that sort of elitist, aren't they? It's just a brilliant song, and I love it. And I love that keyboard bit.
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah, okay, it's Nick from Bark, but if you're going to nick something, nick it from Bark.
Do you realise that on 3 occasions, one of our number twos is the same as the other one's number one? And doing all these, the 70s was Kate Bush, and there was another one, I believe, the 50s.
Yeah.
Traveling Light. So this is the 3rd time. So there you go. No,
Right, so how many bubbly numbers have you got? Because I've got 4 today.
Well, I've got 4 as well. I've actually got 5, which I'll try and sneak in because it's the last show.
Yeah.
Why not? Okay, my 5 bubbling unders. I'll leave the one that will disgust you till the very end. You will not be happy, I guarantee you. Okay, 65, 2 weeks. The Righteous Brothers, You've Lost That Loving Feeling. Absolutely magnificent. 1969, 1 week. Desmond Dekker and the Aces, the Israelites, which is one of your first sort of reggae ska type number ones. Absolutely brilliant. And it got to number 10 again in 1975. The Seekers, I'll Never Find Another You from 1965. I stayed there for 2 weeks. Now, I said in the video I did that one of my drunken songs, whenever I'm hammered and I start singing, is The Seekers, A World of Our Own. It's not. It's actually I'll Never Find Another You. So I know it. So if I ever sing that, you know, I've got a few in me. 1967 for 4 weeks. Scott McKenzie and San Francisco. Be sure to wear some flowers in your hair, which I think is just a really good acoustic song. Very hippie. And I'm sorry, Iain, but I have to put this one in. 1966 for 5 weeks, and I love this. And it's Jim Reeves' Distant Drums.
No, yeah, that was my number one birthday, wasn't it? When I was born, and I've got a little bit of an affection for that because of my nan.
Well, my mother loved it.
Yeah, my nan, you know, she always, as I said on my thing, that she always said, but, you know, you was born and Jim Reeves was at number one. So it was perfect. So, yeah, I can get it.
I will say, though, that I am a bit of a Jim Reeves fan. His Christmas album is my favourite Christmas album of all time. And it's probably, if you think about it, because it's played every year at least 3 or 4 times since I was about 7 years old. So it's probably my most listened to album ever.
Well, I'm doing a little Christmassy album thing Christmas week, and that may appear as a bubbly under because I remember it as a kid, and they're great. He does a great album. Okay, I've just thought of one that I've missed out, and I can never pronounce his name, so I'll do that one first in my bubbly numbers. Where Do You Go, My Lovely? Peter.
Arstead.
Yeah, love that song.
Oh, I love it as well.
Missed it out, but that's a sneaky bubbly number. So I've added one to mine. Now I'll go through the ones that I have got. First one, 1961, 3 weeks at number one. Del Shannon's Runaway.
Yeah, classic.
I just
Tune.
love that pioneering keyboard sound because there wasn't anything in that vein around at the time. My second one, 1964 for 2 weeks, the Dave Clark 5, Glad All Over.
Love it as well.
Yeah.
I love Susie Quattro's version of that as
Yes,
well.
I do as well. It's just a thing. And my next one, 1 week in 1969, and I couldn't leave this off the list at all. And that's Blackberry Way by The Move. It really did just miss out on the top 10. It got shoved out by another song. And my last one is 1966 again, 2 weeks, The Kinks, Sunny Afternoon.
That was so close.
Yeah, it
And
was for me.
first
I
of all,
love that song.
I couldn't make up my mind between Sunny Afternoon and You Really Got Me. But I think I prefer Sunny Afternoon.
It's a
And
fun
it was
song.
so close together.
Yes, one of my drunken songs. when I used to live in a place called Brixworth, in the pub there, Sunday afternoon, we'd had a few at lunchtime, went to the jukebox on that one, and we all started singing it terribly. But we had great fun doing it. Well, that's it. That's the singles of all the decades that we dare do.
Yes. Sorry, no 2010s. Sorry.
No, people have been asking, and the answer is nah.
Definitely not.
Well, we'll be back probably after Christmas now because there's so much going on. So after Christmas, we'll start doing some album. Going to do a couple of the albums, and then I'm sure we'll come up with some other things to do because we know you like it. So that's all for today. I'll be back on Monday. Got last part of Rick Wakeman, his collaborations. How he fitted all these other stuff in with all the other stuff he was doing, I don't know. And classic album is Smashing Pumpkins' Gish. And then on Tuesday we have got the tribute day for Nazareth to Stan McCafferty and Jerry Lee Lewis retro ranking. So lots of good stuff coming up. All I can say is thank you very much for watching again. And once again, Richard, this has been an absolute blast.
Loved it. Loved them all. Every one of them.
Okay, so it's goodbye for me.
And it's goodbye from him.